The admission by John Major on The Rest is Politics. That's the show with Rory Stewart, lovely Rory, and Alistair Campbell. The admission by John Major that the moment he had been successful, unexpectedly successful in the 1992 election where he'd got on his soapbox, he'd sat down with his party chairman, Chris Patten, and recognised that defeat was inevitable in the 1997 election because, quote, the Conservatives had run out of road and because the party was split on Europe. And that the party had learnt nothing since the days when he was besieged by what he called Tory bastards who opposed his position towards Europe and didn't support his Maastricht Treaty, and the rise in Euroscepticism, the nostalgia for the British Empire, and the concerns about EU encroachment on British sovereignty and democracy. So Major himself was presiding over a recession, and he was that additional period of time between 1992 and 1997 meant that he left government in a much better position than it might have been for Tony Blair, and Tony Blair was able to take advantage of it. And at the same time, the Conservative Party was in a moderately capable way of acting as an opposition party and an effective opposition party, strengthening really the position of Tony Blair. So I think John Major made some very solid achievements, and he can take pride in that, as also in his first steps towards the sorting out Northern Ireland, the Gulf War against Saddam Hussein, and probably the foundation of the National Lottery, though I raise an eyebrow over that one. And the parallels between John Major and now, I think, are relevant, and it's worthwhile reading John Major's autobiography. It's a good book, and it's up there with Blair, frankly, as an autobiography. And I wait eagerly for the Boris Johnson version, which I think will be an interesting read, if rather absurd. But I think we should listen to what Major has to say, because it seems to me that the current government is not going to leave a decent legacy for the Labour government that's coming into power, almost inevitably. And it's going to be an appalling opposition, which will not help our country. We need a good opposition, and we need a good government. At the moment, we still don't have either, because the present Labour Party is only just finally, after 13 odd years, adjusting to being a decent opposition. And I think that the current Labour front bench is still not quite cohesive enough. It's extraordinary it's taken so long. But that's what a series of political upheavals can do to a party. And I think those same political upheavals are awaiting the destruction of the Conservative Party. So listen and learn, I think.